Okay, another value invoice. Once again, comics prior to 1980 that have a pre-CGC value of $150 or less. On this invoice, 15 pieces, I managed to get 5 items that came back exactly as expected. 2 items came down less than I expected, and a big 8 came back higher than I expected. Good invoice, only 2 down and a total of 13 either on or up. Starting with the on books, and I don't have them all here because a few of these were for customers who have already picked them up, so I don't have all of my on books. Starting with Star Spangled War Stories from 1955, number 38. I did make a mistake, and I can make a mistake just like CGC. I put this on here as Our Fighting Forces, but luckily they caught it corrected it. I don't know, I must have been in a daze at the moment when I did it, but it came back a 7.5 as I had hoped it would, and as a 7.5, it is the best CGC copy, and it's one of 2 in 7.5. As I said, DC War Comics from this era, once you get above 6.0, you're often getting in the highest available CGC territory, and that did come back as the highest graded CGC. Never fail. I really didn't mean to send this in, but we needed a few more pieces to fill out our invoice, and I believe we had this on the wall as a 6.5, selling it as 6.5 raw, but it doesn't hurt on a EC. One of the last issues, I believe 46 was the last issue of Tales from the Crypt. The later issues get a little scarcer and harder to find because of Wortham and Seduction of the Innocent, and there's some, but a little bit harder to find in nicer condition and everything. It doesn't hurt that this is a guillotine, a beheading, although as opposed to the other notorious EC covers with severed heads, you're not seeing the severed head, but still, this is a semi-notorious EC cover, being that I'm not sure who the Frenchman is here, getting his just desserts and losing his head, but desirable still. Then we go into the items that came in at a little less than I expected them to. Not a big, just a step down from what I expected it to be. This is in Our Army at War, which I got right and CGC got right. They got it labeled right, and I got it listed right, so win-win there. This is, excuse me, well, it didn't really place as far as a high grade, but this is a very early, they refer to it as a grade tone cover, but I have learned from my education on the CGC board that the proper term for this is a wash cover and not a gray tone, as many people like to misnomer it, and as CGC has misnomered it. And this was the work of Jack Abel, who did all of these wash covers, and I believe Jack Abel is, I think, the uncle of Howard Stern. When you hear Stern talking about how he used to have all these old comic books and could get anything he wanted because he had an uncle who worked for DC Comics, that was Jack Abel. Jack Abel would take a cover that he particularly liked, and instead of doing the usual flat coloring job, he was the head colorist and big in the production of DC Comics, he would take a cover that he particularly liked and apply this wash technique, which would make it stand out from all the normal, just flat colored comics such as this, although this is not a DC, but the difference in this wash cover and this, a normal colored cover, okay? Expected, this presents very nicely, standard, neater, better, and it's a war cover, a nice racist war cover with, well, the Japs don't have fangs, as Schomburg, the cover artist here, often did in his timely war covers, but it's still pretty racist, you know, a lot of buck teeth and so forth. The Schomburg covers that he did for Standard, Neater, Better were also not as busy as the stuff he did for Timely. All war covers are generally sought out. especially even the more racist ones or the more violent ones. I thought I might have a chance at a 3.5, but there's a lot of ripping on the back cover here. And like I said, CGC is notorious, in my opinion, for being a little harder on the back covers than I would normally be. Presents very well for a 3.0. Somebody will be very, very happy to get that. Okay. Finally, we got 8 books that came back better than I expected them to be. And we got some very big surprises coming up here at the end. First of all, we got a Spider-Man 38, which is Steve Ditko's very last issue of Spider-Man. He had basically at this time told Stan Lee and Martin Goodman to stick it where the moon doesn't shine, and he just walked away from a very beloved, quirky book. And on the next issue, number 39, John Romita took over, and this was the end of what made Spider-Man great in the beginning, Steve Ditko. A very odd, well, he is a very reclusive person, does not want to give interviews, and he's actually pretty bitter about his time at Marvel and how he was treated by Martin Goodman, and by the fact that he got very little recognition for what he did, which was to set the groundwork for making Spider-Man the second most beloved character in comic history, next to Batman. But that was the end of the line for Steve Ditko. Here you go. This is an early. John Romita took over with number 40. This is 41. Received an 8.0. I expected it to get a little less than an 8.0. Happy to get an 8.0. Rhino is the next villain in the next Spider-Man movie, and there has been of lately a lot of speculation whenever anything is announced, be it Guardian of the Galaxies, Rocket Raccoon, the Rhino being the villain in next Spider, that always causes a burst of enthusiasm for the earliest issues and or cover appearances or whatever of those characters. So somebody's going to be very happy to get a nice 8.0 on that. 31, still those strange Ditko artworks, beautiful stuff. 75, a 7.5 for a 31. Somebody would be very happy to get that. Robin, unbeknownst to a lot of people, had his own series at one time in late issues of Star Spangled Comics. I would say offhand, without doing my research, there was about 20, 30 issues, a good many of them with Robin on the cover in solo stories. Batman did appear on a rare occasion in those stories, but generally they were Robin solo stories, generally done by Jim Mooney, which, yeah, Jim Mooney did the cover here. He also did the interior art. Jim Mooney, very famous as the original Supergirl artist, and the artist for Tommy Tomorrow. Very nice Jim Mooney art. Once again, we were trying to fill out the invoice, so we grabbed a couple things off of the wall. We grabbed this Tales from the Crypt 37, and only hoped to get a 6.0 out of it, ended up with a 6.5. So somebody could have had this for a 6.0 raw off of our wall, but now they're going to pay 6.5 CGC prices, which is going to be a little more, and a nice semi-gory cover. Now we get into the real surprises here. This is issue 121, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 121 and 122s are very heavily desirable and collectible issues, being that they deal with the death of, what's her name? Edit. It's not Mary Jane, it's Gwen Stacy. We'll keep going. Okay, Gwen Stacy, excuse me. Wait, where's Gwen? Is she dead already? I forget. But, yeah. Is Gwen the blonde hair? Do you know, Jim? I'm confused. I'm sorry, I didn't do my homework and I forget who is who. Mary Jane is the redhead, I think, is what it is. Yeah. So that is Gwen Stacy there. And she dies in issue 121, 122. But the surprising thing of this was I only expected to get an 8.0 out of this. And instead of getting an 8.0, I got a 9.2. So that's one of the head scratchers that, you send something into CGC and you didn't expect it to be that nice, but it comes out, in this case, we're talking about, this came out a good 3 grades above what I expected it to be. Another head scratcher, but a happy head scratcher, is a low grade Hulk 181 with the first full appearance of Wolverine. One of the most desirable and collectible books from the last, what are we talking about here? Excuse me. Marco.
Rubio.
Sorry. Okay. We, as I said, Wolverine is the most collected and the hottest of the newer characters created within the last 25, 30, 40 years, okay? And this is his first full appearance. I only expected to get a 2.5 out of this, and I ended up getting a 4.5, which is up 4 grades above what I thought it would. 2.5, so 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, 4.5. 4 grades above what I thought it would be, which I'm super happy about that, no doubt about it. And somebody is going to be very happy to get this low-grade Hulk 181. And I guess that's all we got to say on that.